Today we're going to talk about 10 bourbons or whiskeys that surprised me. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome back to Brad's Bourbon Reviews. I'm Brad, and today we're going to jump right into this list here. A few things before we get started. First, this is all just my opinion. Secondly, surprise can be good or it can be bad. So some of these bottles I'm going to say were surprising in a good way. Some of these bottles are going to be surprising in a bad way. So enough talking. Let's get into number one. These are in no particular order. I'm just going to grab them as I'm sitting here. First up is this year's Maker's Mark Cellar Aged 2024 release. This bottle was surprising as all hell because of how much I disliked it. I thought the 2023 was just okay. I had gotten it in a sample from a buddy of mine, and I thought it was just all right. And then I got my hands on this one, and I had the first review of this out on YouTube, so much so that people didn't even realize I was reviewing the 2024. They were commenting like, that's last year's, what are you talking about? It's not 2024. I was like, trust me, it's 2024. It says it on the bottle if you would look. But it's just surprising because of how bad it is. It is just so crazy to me that Maker's Mark had a mostly 13-year-old product as a blend of 12 and 13-year-olds, 15% 12, 85% 13-year, and it's just this mediocre. This should not be a special release. I know people really like this bottle. To me, it shouldn't be a special release. I think this is, at best, average, and it's just a bummer. This is one of my most disappointing bourbons of the year for sure. Moving on to the next one. Next one I grabbed here is a bottle from my favorite large distillery, I should say, Jack Daniel's. This is a bottle I got this year on the secondary market. I paid quite a bit for it. You know, I always wanted it when I first started getting into whiskeys because I tried the Sinatra and I was like, oh, it's in the same type of bottle. It's probably the same thing. I had no idea what I was talking about. But this is Jack Daniel's Gold number 27. This is a double oaked version of Jack Daniel's. And the problem with this is it's just too low proof. It's 80 proof. It smells like maple. It's finished in like a maple, maple barrel? Yeah, the nose is really, really nice, but it is just it surprised me when I first had it how thin it was and how boring it was for being Jack Daniel's and being, one of my favorite distilleries. I would have assumed. I love double oak stuff. I love Jack Daniel's. I kind of thought it was a no-brainer, but it's just really, really surprising at how bad this is. I was shocked. I remember doing the review and I was like, I actually almost didn't release the review because I don't like to be negative about things. If something is egregious, of course, I'll talk shit. But I mean, to be fair, this is an 80 proof bottle, but it was retail, I think, like $75-$80. So it's not inexpensive. So they don't get the pass of like, well, it's a $30 bottle. They don't get the pass. So they don't make this anymore from what I can find online. And I'm kind of glad because this is bad. It was surprising. It was shocking how bad it was. Moving on to the next one. Up next is a bottle that I talk about all the time and I absolutely adore it. I don't know why it took me so long to get one of these. I've always been an Old Forester fan. This is Old Forester 1897. The first time I tried this at a bar called The Whiskey here in Orlando, and I was just blown away by how good it was. 100 proof. There's like gorgeous green apple notes on this thing. This is like a really good introductory bourbon when you're trying to take a step up in proof from like, the 80 to 100 range. If you're kind of in that 80 to 95 range, this is a good one to step up to at 100. It's bottled in bond. Old Forester just makes incredible bourbon. So if you have not tried this somehow, the Old Forester 1897, do it. It is so good. These are incredible. I will always have one of these lying around because they are just moving on to the next one. Oh boy, another expensive one from 2024 that was super disappointing. This is Little Book the Infinite. I know people love this. I just feel like it's just kind of a meh Booker's. You know what? I haven't had it in a long time. Let's just do an impromptu tasting here and see how we feel about it. See if my opinion has changed at all. Again, I know people like this one, but it was just surprising to me how unremarkable and unspecial it tasted. It tasted like any other Booker's that I've had that I didn't really care for. Yeah, I mean, it's still, to me, I'm still here with this. It smells like boiled peanut juice. I stand by it. Anyone who likes this, I'm happy for you, but I think you're kind of crazy. I saw people talking like bottle of the year. Absolutely not. I think it's okay. It's better than I remember it being, but it was still, when the first time I tried it, was surprising at how just not great it was. And it bummed me out, and it still bums me out because I spent a lot of money on that bottle. Moving on to the next one. This is my most recent review, if I've uploaded them in the order that I've recorded them. This is JT Melic. This is a rice whiskey. This is surprising because the first time I tried it was in a blind, and it won my blind like by a lot. I even said it like there's a huge gap between 1 and 2 in that blind. It beat out bottles like E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. It beat out bottles like Russell's 13. Just really showed up, and I didn't even know what the selections were, and it was like a double blind essentially because I just was drinking amazing whiskey. It was just really, really solid, and it blew me away. It was surprising, especially with it being made from rice. Like the fruitiness that you get on this, like it's completely shocking. JT Melic, I know they're like hyped right now, but that is for good reason because they are making incredible whiskey, and it's very unique. So moving on to the next one. Up next is a bottle that I really, really enjoyed. It's one of my favorite rye whiskeys of the year, if not my absolute favorite, is A. Overholt. This is a rye whiskey. It's a Mahang. I forget how to say it. I read the description. I read it in the comments of the video and I forgot already. But it's a true rye whiskey. It is really, really solid. I was surprised when I tried it because I don't typically like rye whiskeys, but this is one of my favorite ryes I've ever had. I think it's fantastic. I actually wish that when I do my updated best ryes of all time, this will be on that list for sure. I really, really like it. It's 95 proof. It's $45. It's made by Jim Beam. Jim Beam's like really crushing it right now with me. If you haven't got your hands on one of these yet, you should, because these are fantastic rye whiskeys. I highly, highly urge you to do it. It surprised me. Moving on to the next one. Up next is a bottle, and the reason it was so surprising was I had completely written off this distillery, and I'm glad I gave them another shot, because the first thing I tried for them was their wheated bourbon, and I tend to like wheated bourbons. I know I kind of went on a tirade about the Maker's Mark, but I love wheated bourbon. It's one of my favorite categories of bourbon. I love wheated bourbon. And I tried the wheated bourbon from Green River, and it was absolutely terrible. I don't think I even have it on the shelf to be shocked by, but the reason this is on this list, this is the Green River Foolproof, is how this surprised me in a crazy way. Like, I was so completely shocked that was this good from this distillery. They make really good stuff. I cannot believe the one thing I had from them wasn't good. I still don't like their wheated bourbon. I think it's not very good. I love their rye and I love their regular bourbon, but their Foolproof and their single barrel picks are just unbelievable. The Foolproof is it's insanely good. It surprised the hell out of me with how good this was, and I'm really glad I gave it another shot, and you should too. Moving on to the next one. All right. This is another bottle from Jim Beam that really surprised me. This is the Jim Beam Sunshine Blend. This is a bottle that was like literally, I think, $19, $20, something like that. 80 proof, Jim Beam. All of those things are like on a checklist that I wouldn't typically gravitate towards or even like. And for some reason it works. It's super bright, super drinkable, super light. Tastes like oranges. It's like really a solid, very inexpensive bottle. And it's something that just, if you want to just crush a few bourbons and not, have something cask strength or higher proof, you can do it and be totally happy with your choice. It really surprised me. I was shocked at how good this was. I'll keep one on the shelf because I think it's really solid. And I think people who like orange notes will really gravitate towards this one. But it is a shockingly solid bourbon for $20. Moving on to the next one. All right, this one was shocking to me because I had up to this point, the only other bottle from this lineup I had was the regular Blanton's. This is Blanton's Gold. This shocked me because I think Blanton's is okay. I think it's good. I think it's a solid bottle. I don't think it's like the best bourbon of all time. I don't get all the hype surround it necessarily until you start talking about Blanton's Gold. This one, the first time I tried this, I was like, am I crazy, or is this like really, really good? And I have had people, maybe it could just be that it's a special barrel. I doubt that, because I feel like even though they're single barrels, they're pretty consistent across the board from the ones that I've had. But I just feel like this one surprised me because I was like expecting it just to be a slightly better version of Blanton's, and it just like blows regular Blanton's out of the water. And to me, this blows straight from the barrel out of the water too. Like the flavor profile at this proof is like what Blanton should be. And it's fantastic. I wish it wasn't so expensive, but it's a really solid bottle. If you're a Blanton's hater, I would urge you to try the Gold. I think this is the best balance between this and straight from the barrel. That's just my opinion, but it surprised me with how good it was. Moving on to the final one. This is probably my most surprised I've ever been from a bottle. This is Russell's Reserve 15, this year's release. Obviously, there's not a second release yet. I hated Russell's 13. I had a bottle of it. I don't trade my whiskey once it's open. I tend to just, even though I don't like with the Maker's Mark cellar aged, I'm going to keep it, and it will be a reminder not to overspend for a video, which I absolutely did. I disliked the Russell's Reserve 13 so much. It was batch. I think it was batch. It was not this year. It was last year's batch. I think that was batch 4 or 3. I forget. I think it was 4. Which there was one that's like noticeably bad, and it was that one. And I checked the laser code, and I talked to friends about it at that time. That's not a good batch. I actually ended up trading it. I wish I'd have kept it in retrospect just to have it. I remember when they announced Russell's 15, I was like, I'm not even going to hunt this. I do not care at all about it. It's not going to be something I want. And I am so glad I got one, because this is arguably one of the best bourbons of the year. I don't know if it's number one for me personally, but it is undeniably in the conversation. It is fantastic. There's one that I think I might like a little bit better than this one. There's two that I might like a little bit better than this one. But this is objectively like an incredible bottle of bourbon. And I got it at retail. I got it at $2.50, and I'm glad I did. And it genuinely surprised me. I went from trading the Russell's 13 to like adoring Russell's 15 and like really wanting it back up. So that's the list, everyone. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it very much. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I think by the time this video comes out, we may have already hit 2,500 subscribers. If we have, thank you very much. Details will be coming out about the giveaway very soon. I'm going to give away stuff on a live stream, so we'll get that all figured out once we get to that number. But we may be there already. If we are, thank you. And if not, make sure you hit subscribe so you can be entered to win one of the 3 bottles I'm going to do an allocated giveaway. And it's going to be a good time. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Until then, cheers. A big thank you to all the Patreon supporters you see on screen right now.